Since 1976, when I arrived in Washington, D.C. in my old car, one that had holes in the floorboards, I've been reading the Washington Post every single day. But as the news business has changed, I've been extra careful to check out other news sources on important topics that grab my attention. One of the reasons is because it's so easy for reporters to make mistakes. Another reason, I just want more information. I also look very carefully in articles for corroboration, and most importantly, I check the sources in articles I read. Sourcing is critical to journalism. Complete sourcing greatly enhances credibility. Anyone can pick up the phone, call a reporter, and do a ride-by smear with some comment, which is why it is so important reporters get sources on the record, because it's fair. Sources are more honest when their names are attached to what they say. So this morning, I awoke to an electrifying Washington Post online headline. It reads, "Trump rejected lawyers' efforts to avoid classified documents indictment." I thought, he did? That's pretty crazy. Having been a criminal defense lawyer for years, I know how nutty it would be to blow an opportunity to avoid an indictment, especially a 37-count federal indictment. I was so surprised by the content in the headline, I immediately hit on the link to read the entire article. In the article was this, in part: Trump never believed that his home would be searched and thought that he would be able to keep the documents. Ouch. That line, if true, could be a killer, a damning admission. So, is it true? Naturally, my next step was to check the sources. According to the article, the sources are 3 people briefed on the matter. Any names? No names. Just 3 people briefed on the matter. It doesn't even report who briefed them or how or when it happened. So, naturally, I look for more sources. Are there any? Yes, there are. People with knowledge of the case. Okay, who are they? Who are those people? Any names? No names. All right, how about the number of people said to have knowledge of the case? 1, 2, more than 4? It doesn't say. It just says people. Well, it then occurred to me, I don't know if those sources identified as people with knowledge of the case might also be one of the 3 people first identified as 3 people briefed on the matter. So naturally, I dug deeper. Any more sources? Answer, yes. 7 Trump advisors are sources. Okay, any names? No names. For even one of the 7? No. No names. Not even for one of the 7. So next I wonder, okay, 7 advisors. What kind of advisors? What does that mean, advisors? The type might make a difference in this article based on the topic. Are they political advisors? Legal advisors? How about friends, just calling to put in their 2 cents to the president? You know, advise him. I don't know what kind of advisor. It just says 7 Trump advisors. Okay, so now I'm more uncertain. I now wonder, are any of the 7 Trump advisors part of the original 3 people briefed on the matters, or might they be part of the group identified as people with knowledge of the case? Well, I have no idea. It's so confusing. There are no names. No name for the 3 people briefed on the matters, no names for people with the knowledge of the case, no names for the 7 Trump advisors. Okay, are there any more sources for this article which might help me weigh whether I think it's credible? Yes, there are. Another source. 1 person close to Trump. Close to Trump? Now, what does that mean? How close? All right, it's time to guess. Well, let's start with what close to Trump might mean, since the article doesn't identify whether it's physically close or close friends or whatever. It's not specific enough even to provide that answer. It just says person close to Trump. Okay, here's a guess. Melania. I did see a picture of Melania recently. She was reported to be in Manhattan. Of course, I don't know if she stayed at Trump Tower in Manhattan or whether that's considered close to where the former president was in New Jersey, or if she traveled to New Jersey after I saw her pictured, in which case she'd be really close to him if she stayed than if she stayed at the Trump Tower in Manhattan. So I assume, regardless, she was close. My next thought would be, did she give an anonymous interview with the Washington Post? Very doubtful. She isn't exactly Martha Mitchell, if you happen to know that reference. So now I'm back to square one, trying to guess who might be close to the former president and talk to the Washington Post. Maybe a golf caddy who overheard something? Possibly, but I just don't know. So let's move on from that source, since there's no way to confirm it. Any more sources in that article that's so electrifying? Yes. Now here's where it gets really tricky. The article sources, again, advisors. All right, are these new advisors, or are they part of the 7 advisors I already mentioned that were sources? I don't know. And if reading the article, neither would you. Okay, bottom line, yes, of course, anonymous sources are important to journalism. But anonymous sources should be used rarely, maybe on very important stories such as national security. But this article, really, the Washington Post? I think the overuse in journalism of anonymous sources, this article being a prime example of one of them, has become ridiculous and epidemic. Not only does it make journalists look lazy, like we don't do the old-fashioned gumshoe work to get our sources to speak on the record, but worse, we lose credibility with the reader or the viewer when we don't even source our work. The overuse of anonymous sources certainly is freedom of the press, but it's also gossip.